This week we watched Materialist, directed by Celine Song.
To me, it's a continuation of Celine Song's like study and like love and like existential crises, which is like prevalent in the choices in like the films she make. Like this like film also makes a lot of references in itself to one of her plays, Tom and Elise. We see a poster for it. That's a play she wrote as well. It makes references to that and the fact that, we're born to parents and then their influence affects us in ways we don't know kind of thing, which, is the issue with Johnson's character of Lucy. Like her parents' relationship is why she views like you have to check boxes, to avoid conflict, and marriage has to be an agreement with like no love involved. And then also her that's also prevalent in her choice in referencing the seagull, which she did like during COVID, and she made it during like as a fucking play on Twitch using Sims 4. But those themes are also prevalent in that as well, of unrequited love from Chris Evans, John's character, and Lucy's existential crisis, which I do love. Like she continues to study and analyze this topic very much like a modern day Shakespeare in a way. Like people don't realize a lot of Shakespeare's plays is thematically on unrequited love and existential crisis. Like they are thematically all that. Even Macbeth is an existential crisis. Um, but yeah, but I like comparing it to Past Lives though. I don't think I enjoyed this as much as Past Lives though. But it's still, regardless, it's still a good movie.
Yeah, some might say that she's the Shakespeare of our time, you know? Um, yeah, so this is an interesting one for me because I was like looking for showtimes, getting ready to find my tickets for this movie. And I kept seeing reviews where people were like, they didn't like it. And then my best friend was talking to me about how she saw it and she also didn't like it. And I was like, wow, okay. So I had read that it wasn't really a rom-com, even though that it was sort of being marketed as a rom-com,
Yeah,
but it wasn't one. It was just a romantic drama.
dramedy and drama.
Yeah, like more in the line of like The Vow, or I guess maybe to like a more extreme, well, that's a really intense movie, but The Notebook. Like
Yeah.
it's just a movie about a romance. It's not a rom-com. And I'm glad that I knew that going in so that I wasn't shocked when I watched it. It's a thing with the movies and me and the films. It's like I can't look at the marketing because I feel like sometimes I'm just gonna be deceived. And so I just need to like know from people who've actually watched it what it actually is so that I can have realistic expectations for the film. And this time that worked. I kind of knew what I was getting into. But yeah, I really liked it, which is like, I guess, against the grain of how other people feel because other people don't like it. I'm not really sure why they don't. I haven't talked to any of those people yet to see what their reasoning, but I really liked it. I don't think it is on the same standard of past lives. It's not to me, um, yeah, even on the same like I don't know, status platform like level. I just don't think it's as good as that movie for sure.
Mhm.
But because like to me, Past Life is like a perfect film, but like this movie, nah, it wasn't living up to that. But I do think that it was still good. Like I like what they're saying, what Celine Song is saying through this film. I like that it's a personal film where it's like she was a matchmaker in New York trying to make money because she was also like a playwright and that hadn't taken off yet. And that her husband he was like making weird videos on YouTube and he like he's like a massive screenwriter now. Like he wrote Challengers. So like it's interesting because like maybe the Lucy and what's Chris Evans' character's name? Tom?
John.
John.
Yeah.
Maybe that's like a self-insert for her and her husband. But like I don't know. Like right before things actually started taking off. I'm not sure. But I really did like that it was a personal story because like that's such a rent. I didn't know that matchmaking was a real job anymore because we have apps, so I just assumed that that was not a job that needed to be filled, I guess.
Yeah.
But apparently it definitely is. So that was interesting. And like just to see like how that whole thing works. But yeah, I really did like it because I like that I mean, I don't know. I feel like I feel kind of split on it where it's like I think that her coming to the conclusions that she comes to towards the end, Lucy, the character, makes a lot of sense because it's like you wanted this guy who checked all your boxes, who was rich, who were, you didn't feel like you needed to worry about anything, but you guys had like no conversations about anything real. So it's like you didn't really have a relationship. And when she is in trouble and dealing with stuff, like that's not the person who she's turning to. It's not Harry, it's John. So I really like that. I like the conversation about like boundaries and stuff like that. Like I thought all of that stuff was good. Do I think that you should settle if someone isn't like the person you want? I don't know how I feel about that, but I do think that like he's trying. So that's something. Like why did it take this woman for you like coming along for you to get your life together? I don't know. I'm not a dude, so I'm not really sure how that works, but um I think that maybe that's just like a difference in gender experience, but I do think that like he is gonna try to get things together and work things out, and he knows that like he's at a certain place where yes, you kind of do need a job that at least like pays you enough where you're not like constantly like not having money for like your basic bills. I think that that's enough. Like I feel like maybe we should have already gotten to that place where it's like you're able to pay your bills um and not, be living with three roommates in New York City. I mean, I don't know. That's a lot to be in your like late 30s still living with roommates. That is kind of crazy, but I
It's
don't
time.
know.
It's the time we live in now. I mean,
No, I understand like living in New York is hella expensive and like don't do it. You won't have any money. Like you will be living literally crazy because like New York is so expensive. But yeah, that's a choice. That's an interesting choice.
hmm. I don't know. It's,
I would have gotten a small apartment in Jersey City, but
or or
commuted in.
or Rhode Island and commute in,
Yeah,
or
commuted in. But hey,
Philly.
that's just my thought
I
process.
mean, it's the
But
appeal of living in a big city, though. So
yeah, I guess. Yeah, no, sure. Sure. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think because he chooses like, I'm gonna figure things out, I'm gonna get things together, is the reason why I can support the relationship because I feel like money is always gonna be an issue if that doesn't get resolved. Like that's one of the things that will just continue to come up. Actually, I've heard so many times like in relationships that it's not really like cheating or whatever that really ends things or makes things difficult. It really is just like money. So like it makes sense. Like that plot point is actually like a really good one to explore just because it's like that is probably what most couples have had to deal with or are dealing with currently. So I thought that was a realistic conflict for this character to have. And I do like how things end up. It was honestly fascinating. I really thought it was like an interesting kind of case study in like modern dating, how people feel about love. It's interesting that the character of Lucy in the beginning is so like regimented about what she wants, but she still wants to get married. That
Mhm.
was interesting to me. I was like, well, if you have all these things, like maybe like I don't know, marriage seems like such a traditional thing for her to like aspire to when she has like so many standards that are more just like grounded and realistic and like not idealistic at all. It's just like, I just kind of want these things. Give me these things. Like I wouldn't peg her as a person who cared about that type of stuff. But like it's interesting that they still want it, even though they also see like all of the issues like
Mhm.
with it. They still end up going through with it. So
Yeah, I do wish this movie like it shows. like I think this movie is more targeted to like a female audience, female viewpoint, because it does show like even though she like has all these things, her end goal is still to be married, and that's still like the traditional mindset of for girls, the big day is their wedding day, their marriage, all the boxes are checked, everything is perfect. But for the guys, I think the guys they did show like two viewpoints of it, like guys who are just there to be there and or guys who are just like, oh, I just want to date younger women, and then you have also John, and you have both Harry, who like Harry is like I believe in love, but I don't know if I'm capable of love, and he really wants marriage, and Harry, who not Harry, John, who is like stuck with the unrequited love for Lucy, so I do think they do accurately portray I think the male side a lot more than the women. I think with women, Celine kind of defaults like every girl wants to be married, and then that's it. Didn't really have a show change. She didn't really showcase their independency and agency, saying, "No, this is not for me. I'm content." Like you would think with Lucy having all those boxes checked for herself, like successful career, like the movie ends with her getting a promotion to run that New York office. You know, she is able to like sublet her apartment, like because I'm going to travel for extra income. Like she's providing for a New York apartment by herself, and John isn't. She's established. She's going to high profile events. She's meeting the clients she's meeting are established. Like I don't think a New York matchmaker is going to mix and mingle with the average, like me or you or whatever. She's
Mm.
she's in a certain like zeitgeist and clientele. So she has all the boxes checked for herself, but she still doesn't realize that in herself, which I feel like is a discredit to her character as well,
Mm.
because I think she could have acknowledged, oh, I have all this. I don't really need a man to provide that for me. So there are some things I could also be flexible with, so
Yeah, I think that that's probably where she comes to at the end of the film, where she's just like, you know what, I love you, and you don't have everything together, but I have a good job, so it'll be fine.
yeah,
Like, I feel like that's how I feel like in the beginning, she definitely was not on that
yeah,
wavelength. She was very much just like, I guess, like actively look, maybe not actively, because the Harry situation kind of comes out of nowhere. So it's not like she wasn't pursuing it necessarily. She was just saying like the next person I'm dating, I will be marrying them,
yeah,
which to me maybe feels less like a traditional aspiration and more just like this is what adults do.
yeah,
So this is what I'm gonna do. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying? Like it
yeah,
doesn't seem like she cared about it in the
yeah.
sense of like this is gonna make my life. Like this is what I'm looking forward to. It was just like, well, I'm in my mid 30s. Like I'm supposed to be having the nice apartment, the good
Hmm.
job, and the husband. I feel
Yeah.
like it's more,
I have everything else to set last box in check. Like,
yeah,
and I think
exactly.
that's the parallel between I think her and Harry that works out. Like, it reminds me very much of like Failure to Launch, a Matthew McConaughey movie,
Oh, I love
with
that
Sarah Jessica
movie.
Parker, which is a
Yeah.
real thing, that failure to launch syndrome. Like, I think for a lot of us, are millennials, some Gen X, Gen Z. It's like right now society. We've not been able to hit certain like adulthood milestones. Like I know I haven't. Like that's currently why I'm planning to go back to school to like to do
Hmm.
all that. But so I can kind of relate to John, kind of like, I'm here, I have a dream, but I can't progress past that. And I think his love for Lucy is the thing that gives him the extra push. Like, no, I can actually aspire to be better. I don't have to settle for where I'm at. I can be better. And I also think that she is trying to pass those certain adult check marks. Like you said, like she has a job, she has a house, she has everything else. The last thing is a husband. So they're both trying to like attain standards of societal values or
Hmm.
expectations that they
Yeah.
can't maintain on their own. They need each other to reach those things. And the same thing with Harry. Harry's rich. Like the only thing he had that has an issue with both him and his brother, which he kind of revealed at the end, was he got, which is essentially gender affirming care, which he got height added. And for her, that was like another signal of the issues of what Sophia, when she got assaulted. Like Mark gave off everything that we'd assume, that women would want. He was perfect. He checked all the boxes, but his character wasn't there, you know, and that's what sends her down the spiral. Whereas Harry, he checks all the boxes, character was there. But for her, the fact that during this whole mental crisis, is our relationships just about checking boxes and to be satisfied? When she kind of like gets scared, I think the whole end really is about her finding the ring and how Harry was actually going to marry her, like really wanted to. Like I think the fact that she didn't know that he got the gender affirming care to raise his height, that was kind of a red flag. Like, oh, you don't really meet all my standards. You're not perfect. I'm freaking out right now. Like, and she used that as a quick and easy out in a way, So
Yeah, I feel like she's an interesting character. I feel like she just didn't love him. Like that was just honestly, and I understood that when her client gets assaulted and the first person she talks to about it is John,
hmm
not the person that she's currently dating.
yeah,
And that's when I was like, okay, well, obviously there's an issue here because if y'all can't even have a conversation where you are telling him something that's going on in work,
hmm
like you can't
be
speak to him,
vulnerable.
be vulnerable, like you
Yeah,
don't have a relationship with this dude. Like you guys are just people who sleep together. Like that's really all it is. And I'm glad that she realized that and ended it because a lot of people wouldn't do that. A lot of
no,
people would say, you check all the boxes. So even though we don't have that vulnerability or that intimacy, I will still marry you.
yeah,
And so I respect the fact that she didn't continue the relationship. That made sense to me. And I'm glad that Celine put that in there because like I said, a lot of people wouldn't do something like that. And I
yeah,
feel like through the clients that she works with, you can see how people are thinking, right? So the first person who, when they go to the wedding, when she goes to the wedding, the woman is just getting married to this man. So I don't know, beat her sister at something, at some
yeah.
made up ridiculous competition that they've had, I don't know, psychologically since they were children. Like, I know you're not being serious, lady. Like, that cannot be the reason why you're marrying this person. And it literally was.
She says,
It lit
"Oh, that means I won against my sister." Like,
like you
yeah.
what?
And that's the thing. I've seen that in real life. I know personally siblings who compete against each other, and I feel like the older sibling is not competing with them. Like I know I've experienced that personally, where I'm like, I'm the older brother. I should be different from my sisters, and I know I shouldn't be because we're different people, but still on the inside, you're competing with your sibling no matter what. So
Yeah, no, and I think anyone who has siblings knows what that feels like.
yeah,
Yes, I understand it. But marrying a whole person just to beat someone at something that, again, that's not real. Like you're not actually competing for anything. Like, and what are you competing for? Like to win what? You know what I'm saying? Like all of these things are so they're so stupid. Like because it's not like it's not like you're gonna get anything. And like honestly, you're just getting a person who you're just kind of okay with.
uh,
It's fine, like whatever. And I think that's what they talk about in the movie too, where it's like you're just like marriage is like you're just getting someone who you can coexist with, who will take care of you in your old age,
mhm.
who you can split the rent with. Like, and honestly, it's sad that that's true, but I think it is true. Like a lot, it's convenient. Like it's okay. Well, like you're here, so I don't have to be alone, and I don't have to, spend all my money on my bills because you will also be paying them. Like I get it. Like it makes sense as like a financial arrangement
Mm,
to just be with someone. But I think through the clients you can see like what kind of the absurdity of like how people think that they want like what they want their partners to be. And it is just like I think the point of the film where it's like real love isn't about having someone check all these boxes. Like that's
yeah.
not what that's about. But it was to me if this movie is supposed to be comedic anyway in any way, that's kind of where that comes in. Where
Mhm.
like that guy who looked like he had his life together, he was like a dashing young man about New York, was like, I want someone more mature, but not someone in their 30s because that's too old.
Yeah.
Even though I'm in my 40s, she needs to be in her late 20s. I said, oh my God.
Yeah.
You're a menace. Like and it's like, and I know this is real because I know Celine did this job, which meant that that's exactly what she was coming up against. People
Yeah.
like that. Like the woman who was like, I want a
Whites
Republican,
only. Oh, the white.
whites only. a lesbian who wanted a conservative partner in New York City. I'm like,
It's not
y'all are
even that.
delusional.
She said like a moderate conservative Democrat. Like, lady, that's like two opposing viewpoints. Like, what do you want? Like, uh,
That was hilarious. Honestly, those parts were just like,
yeah,
that actually killed me. But yeah, it's just like, I don't know. Dating is awful. So like I feel like that was completely accurate in terms of how they decided to depict that piece. Like even the idea that you can just like swipe on someone and you have to like and as a person who has done this or actually has my had my friends do this,
yeah.
had them curate your profile so you seem more whatever. Like I don't know. It's a very weird world because I think one, there's just so many options. Like you don't have options in terms of like there's a lot of people, but there's also like so many different relationship models. Like right now, being open, being poly, like that's very in. Like so, like no one has to be committed really. And so I think that that idea too also kind of messes with being in relationships and like trying to find someone to be in a relationship because like for some people like they don't even subscribe to that. So and then like having the conversation, are you exclusive, are you just like it's just so a lot. So like I get it, like I totally get like why you would go to a system like having like checks and balance, like okay, this is what I want, I don't want anything else other than this. If they say they're 5'10", they're probably lying. Like make sure that they're 6 feet. Like it's just I can understand how modern dating gets you to a point where you're just trying to like get
Check
someone
the
who,
box.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like it, because it is brutal and it feels like devoid of any like real, I don't know, connection. And I don't know, I don't think it's been like this the whole time. I don't know. I can't speak to that. I think that maybe at some point it was easier for people to just like meet each other and fall in love and get married. But I also feel like the societal expectations were different, where it's like, back in maybe our parents' day, you were expected to get married. Like that was what you were supposed to do.
Hmm.
Whereas now it's more just like, okay, it's an option if you want to do it, whatever. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It's that's why I say I like the movie because I liked all the stuff that they were exploring within it. Even though I think that Dakota Johnson, bless her heart, she was really trying.
Yeah.
She really tries hard.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work because she's not
Yeah.
that good of an
She's
actor.
not, doesn't give that draw.
Poor baby. She looks
Yeah.
great in a pantsuit. Oh my God. She was killing it in those
Yeah.
pantsuits. I loved her in a Dakota Johnson in a pantsuit is like that's my bias right there.
Wow.
But she's just not. And it's tough because when she's up against people who could really act,
Yeah.
you see it more, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Well, I think we got like 4 minutes left. So if it rolls over to the next part, I'll just pick it up from there.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, no, I realized it didn't make any sense. You didn't like it because that New York popped out for you real quick when you said it's so stupid. I was like, damn, she really did not vibe with it. I was like, damn. I was like, I
I
heard
didn't
it.
vibe with that
I
part.
heard it. I
Yeah.
heard it. I was like, you tried to like hide the New York accent a bit, but it popped out there. Um, but yeah, no, like, and it's funny. I was having a conversation with my friends, earlier this week about like red flags in a relationship, and somebody was like,
Hmm.
"Oh, if somebody not having money that you have should not be a red flag." And we were trying to explain to them, it kind of is because if you're a person who's used to obtaining and staying on a certain status of life, it's kind of hard for you to say, "Oh, I want to go. We're going on this trip. Like, say we're going to Bali. Like, I
Hmm.
know I can afford to go to Bali. Like." Now you gotta afford to go to Bali. Like, if
Right.
I can understand saying if somebody is not like at this level of financial stability that you're used to, that's okay to want that. That's nothing wrong with that. But that making that only end all be all for your relationship is the issue. And like we have this conversation, irony enough, us watching this movie and me having a conversation with my friends is because we were watching one of those dang balloon pop videos. My first time watching one of those, and I was like,
Oh,
the absurdity of people just like, hey, I don't like your dreams. Also, that's a pop. Like, like superficial, like unrealistic things. And I think at one point it came down to this girl saying she had kids and she didn't want a man who had kids. And once one dude heard that, he hid that he had kids till the last second till he was picked, and then he finally revealed like how you feel about kids because I got two. And, and honestly, I do like the honesty. Like I like knowing film and entertainment. Like you can tell certain reality TV shows when it's being scripted, but I do think there's a bit of like certain people are probably picked for those competitions just to create drama, but it also gives a tinge of the lack of common sense we have when we're picking people
Yeah.
that we want to be with. So it's like I don't know, relationships nowadays is like hard. Like I'm like every time I look at like my friends, like dang, y'all got people like that from we were in college with.
Hmm.
All like in my friend group, like I'm the only guy that's not in a relationship.
Oh,
All
wow.
my guy, all my guys friends are like they're like locked in. Like two of them are married, and one of them is thinking of it,
Hmm.
or hypothesizing on the idea. But he's in a steady relationship. I'm the only one because I was like I didn't get to that point in college. But like on not Celine's side, on Lucy's side, I do understand how our parents play a factor in it because even though yes, in that same friend group, my parents are the only ones that are still married, which I always like I wore as a badge of honor. Then as I get older, I realize like that they have struggles. Like and now I realize, oh, a successful marriage isn't just, being together. It's how you communicate, how you handle all that. Like I see like I'm 38 years old. I like see like 38, 37. I don't even know how old I am anymore. Like I see my parents argue, you know, but that's also the change of, dealing with and raising kids, until they're in their 30s, and now you have to relearn a person you married in like you're 25 all
Mm.
over again. Like that struggle of that person changed in that 30 years go by quickly. In 30 years of having to care for people and they change, your partners also changed as well. And
Mm.
I think that's the part that, makes a relationship work is are you able to work through those things, or sometimes deciding that you're better off just being friends and divorcing is the best thing. I don't think we should be locked into certain standards of relationship, maintenance or whatever. So
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, I don't know. I gave myself a couple extra years, had to use a calculator. I was like, dang, I'm not 38, I'm like 36 years old. Mm-mm-mm.
I'm like, yeah, you're not that
Time
old.
is crazy. Time be crazy,
I was like, did I miss something? And
I missed something. Man,
I was confused.
the irony is I just made that joke on my cousin about as you get older, the first thing that goes to your memory.
Hmm. Uh-oh.
Uh Crazy.
Ruh-roh. Okay, so you were saying something so interesting and I wanted to talk about it and pick up on it.
Oh,
Just
the
can't remember.
balloon pop thing, or how as you
Yes.
sometimes relationships are better when you divorce or whatever. All right, yeah.
Sometimes relationships
Yeah,
are
they are. Yeah.
yeah, I guess so.
I will, yeah.
Divorce is not great, especially if you have kids. But
Yeah.
like, I guess if you don't, then maybe it's fine. Um,
The
but yeah,
balloon
what
pop.
you were saying about yeah, the reality shows and stuff, and it's so funny because I was watching Temptation Island, and I don't know if you've heard anything about that, but oh goodness, I'm not a reality TV show person, but I for some reason I was watching these guys and they were talking about it, and I was like so engrossed because the men in this show, I don't even know where they found these people. Like, I didn't know that people could be so insane, like delusional beyond all belief, manipulative, and just like borderline psychopathic. Like, it was scary watching these guys.
Hmm.
But just watching like that or Love is Blind or whatever, like I think people's understanding of relationships and love are also very skewed. One thing that always baffles me, I guess, is the lack of communication. Like you'll have couples who are together for years and then they're like revealing things to the camera and they're like, "Oh, I never said this to my partner." And I'm like, "Okay, so what do you guys talk about? Like what do you do every day?" like if you're not talking, what are you like what? Like I'm genuinely confused on like what is like occupying that space if you're not even having conversations with
Mm.
people. Like what do you mean you've never talked about like what you wanted in your future? If you wanted kids or whatever, like how what do you mean you've never talked about that? Haven't you been together for like 2 years? Like how do you not talk about that? Like, what else are you talking about if not these things? Like, I can't. It blows my mind because like I remember my like little relationships back in high school where you were talking about those type of things, and obviously it was not going anywhere. Like, you probably are never going to see this person again after you graduate. But like, if we were talking about that stuff when we were kids, no money, no jobs, no understanding of the real world, how are you as adults living in the real world not have conversations about your life? It's just I can't. It truly blows my mind every single time I hear it. But to your point, it does feel like things have gone so superficial where it's just like again a list of things that like you can and that's what Lucy says. She's like, I cannot build you a person. Like that's not how this works.
Yeah.
And it's so true. It's like we're all just trying to like focus and pick certain things out like and try to like manufacture a person that doesn't actually exist because like in real life like first of all it's not how like anyone really connects. Like you don't like even when you're meeting your friends like you don't even have a checklist of like
Yeah.
how they need to be. You end up somewhere and then like you hang out with people and then like if they're cool you're like okay
Yeah.
cool let's be friends, and if they're not, if you find out somewhere along the way that they are kind of a little, then
Yeah.
you don't hang out with them anymore, it's like I don't know.
Yeah, no, I like you said, like having this conversation is weird. Like I even like told like we were on like a group trip with my friends, like all of us, and we were just for some reason talking. Like it's like New Year's, and I think we're all drunk. We're just talking about relationships and stuff. And I had said, yeah, um, I probably wouldn't be friends with you guys if one of you or if any of you didn't have at least one quality I would like in a potential partner. And they were dumbfounded. I was like, yeah, why would I be friends with you if I didn't like a quality or personality trait you had? And they were like, oh, that they took it as, oh, that means you like all of us. I was like, no, that means like I've had a relationship with you, I view you as friends. There's a difference. Like, but I shouldn't I see no point in like you shouldn't be able to start a relationship, whether it's friendship or romantical, if you don't have like certain standards. Can
Yes.
certain standards only work for one category and don't work for the other? Yeah, sure. Like there are certain things you'd want in a friend and a potential partner that fit for both, and there are other qualities that you don't want and for a friend that you would. There are qualities you wouldn't want in a partner that you're okay with being in a friend. Like I wouldn't want my partner to be selfish, but I'm okay with my friend being selfish. That kind of thing.
Oh,
And I
okay.
had to explain to them that because they were like, that's an odd concept to like to
Mm,
do. So
mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. Well, I was listening to someone talk about some relationship thing, and it was more in the vein of like what do you do if you don't like your friend's partner?
yeah.
That's what they were talking about. And she was saying that like, you cannot like the friend's partner, but you also have to realize that like there's a reason why you are friends with the person
Hmm.
and not dating them, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, yeah, obviously what you look for is obviously different than what they look for in a partner, and you
Hmm.
kind of have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
And that I was like, yeah, that's true. I never even thought about it in those terms, but that does make a lot of sense. Like I love my friends, but like I don't know, would I date them?
No,
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 probably not.
no.
Like, but I love them as my friends.
Yeah.
Like we're so close. Like they're amazing.
Yeah.
But I couldn't be with them. And I don't think they would want to be with me either. I think that's the whole point of why you're friends with someone and not
Yeah.
dating them, right? Like so um that's interesting because it's like, yeah, I think you do have to have a certain like you have to have some standard, some frame of reference of like what you're looking for in a person. And I know for me that there's been guys who like I've liked, and then I got to know them, and I was like, I don't know. how I feel about you. I think you don't respect women. And it's like, but I didn't, and it's weird because like maybe, and I haven't like talked to anyone in such a long time. So like this is years ago. This is when I was a bit younger and I was still figuring things out. But I guess I didn't, I guess what my list were, because I was a person who had lists. I was a
Hmm.
very much a person who was like, I need to check boxes. Right now, I mean, I do still have standards of what I want. I'm just like, and the money thing is important because like
Yeah.
the job that I have, I'm not making money. So like, I need you to have money. Unfortunately, I'm sorry.
Unfortunately, that's a
One of us, we both
non-negotiable.
can't be broke. We
We
both can't
we
be broke. I'm sorry.
we got to be comfortable. Like so, like
I wish that wasn't the truth, but like this is the situation that
yeah,
I'm in right now. I'm
yeah,
so sorry.
yeah,
Hopefully it won't be like that forever. I
yeah.
don't plan on it being like that forever, but right now. Anyways, um I thought I was like, oh, I want a guy who is, 6 feet and who looks like this and who does this and he has to be really smart and blah 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 and involved in all these activities and whatever. And I was like, this is what like is the aspirational thing to look for in a partner
Yeah.
without really knowing who these people were. So like when I actually had like one-on-one time with them, we had conversations, I was just like, oh, I don't think politically we're aligned. Or like I don't I don't think that like you are interested in someone who isn't in your economic class, like in your who is like financially in the same place or comes from a background where like
Hmm.
they're not like they're I'm because I'm a middle class person, like that's how I grew up, and
Yeah.
there are people who grew up upper class and who
Yeah.
had a lot more opportunities, who had money to kind of do whatever they wanted to do. Like it was just a very, and I think that's fine, but like if you aren't looking at a person who isn't of the same class as you as equal, and you're kind of looking down on them a little bit, it's that's going to be an issue, right? Because
Yeah.
there's not the respect there. So it's I think having the checklist what it does is it kind of you're trying to like remove yourself from like not having to deal with like all the intricacies of like a human being, but like you still have to deal with them at a certain point. You can't ignore that. Um, it always comes back around. Like people are going to reveal themselves. And sometimes it's not even like bad. Like when I think about Harry in the movie, like it's not like he was a bad person at all. Like he didn't do anything wrong. He just couldn't like love, or I don't even think he couldn't love. I just didn't think he just didn't love her. I think
Hmm.
he was looking for, the person who checked his boxes as well. I think that's what it was really about. Like that's how he viewed the relationship. And there's people who literally just view relationships that way. And but I do think that like in a different situation with someone else who he was really into, he would be able to love them easily. They would be able to talk. He would be able to reveal the surgery, whatever. But it's also I liked that piece of it because I liked that a lot of the times men's insecurities don't get discussed.
Hmm.
Like it's oftentimes like women just being like, oh, I'm too old or I'm too this or too that. And it's like the fact that like he felt like he couldn't speak to women, and he couldn't like connect with people and like date someone who he couldn't marry because of his height just goes to show you how like whatever social standards, whatever ridiculous things that we're coming up with, it affects all genders. Like
Yeah.
it's not just, I think it's very much focused on women, like, and surgeries and non-invasive procedures and all of these things are very embedded in like it's stuff that I see all the time on my timeline or in my social media stuff. Like, but I don't always think about how that also affects men and how that could, put them in a position where they feel like they're not what women want, and so
Hmm.
they have to do other things in order to obtain obtain something that's so unrealistic. I think that's what the point of this is like all of this is kind of
Yeah.
BS. Like
Yeah.
what's attractive to you is not attractive to me. Like everyone's attracted to somebody.
Yeah.
Everybody's gonna find love in some way. Like if you don't want to be alone, like you won't be alone. Like if you pursue it, you'll probably find you're gonna find someone. Like it's not a I feel like it just feels like there's like not enough people, and it just feels like the standards are so high, expectations are so high. But in reality, like if you, I don't know, it just doesn't feel, whatever the conversation is, it doesn't always feel like it's reflective in real life, where it's just like,
And
and maybe it is. I don't know, but
I mean, and that's why to a certain point, I'm kind of empathetic. I have some empathy to like incel culture, and it's not like
mm,
like of course the main thing is male incel culture. It can kind of be because that's also really tied into toxic masculinity, which gets very violent. But there are also female incels as well. So I'm very empathetic to that issue because sometimes due to society standards and our personal standards, we want to obtain to somebody that's not at our level.
mm.
Like, look, I'm about 5'8". I'm a big chunky boy. I'm bald headed. I wear glasses. You know, I don't smile. I have like a resting bitch face constantly, and I'm a very serious person. So for me to say like, dang, I need to show you that slim, she thick, blah blah blah. She gotta have long hair, ain't gotta have no weave. Like those kind of standards are unrealistic to me because I cannot. Those are things I cannot bring. But there are also things people I can't, people really can't control. You can't really control your height, but you can
Yeah,
control your career aspirations. You can control your educational level to a degree. And even if you don't have a degree, you can still gain knowledge. Like, internet is wide. You can be very conversational. You might not have the degrees to everything, but you can at least hold a conversation on a vast variety of topics. Like things that you can't control, I've learned to like avoid. And like it doesn't make any sense. Why am I aspiring for like Rihanna? You know, when I don't look like, Jalen Hurts. That's unrealistic. Like I can't like, and I think that's also the problem with society has, and that's also the factor that, Harry deals with. Like he checks every box but one. So does John. John checks he checks the height box, he checks the looks box. He just doesn't reach the financial, doesn't reach the standard of living, doesn't reach the standard of transportation, doesn't reach all those boxes, you know. But the movie does showcase, even though they both individually did not check all those boxes, they were both still good guys, you know.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I appreciate that they weren't like terrible. Like that's not the reason why she's not in the ship is because they're bad guys. I really appreciated that.
yeah,
Um, I, and that's true. It's like there's so many things that we can't control, and I think we're always gonna have our insecurities. And also like, yeah, I guess the expectations have to be reasonable. I think I mean, when it comes to like incels, I think the issue that I have with them is that like I don't think that their feelings are invalid. I just think that what they do with those feelings are
their
bad.
expression is bad. Yeah, that
Yeah, the
unrequited love
expression of
thing.
those
Yeah.
things and hating women in the process because they're not getting what they want or they feel that they deserve. To me, that is very toxic masculinity. Like it's very like you can't blame other people for like, and also everyone gets hurt. That's the thing. Like no one can avoid that. If you're
Hmm.
alive on this earth, you will get hurt by
Yeah.
somebody. So like, instead of blaming other people, maybe just accept the fact that that's just what happens in life and
Hmm.
own your own responsibility. Like I just feel like there are. I was just thinking about this as we're kind of on our break real quick, but I think because there has been such toxic masculinity for such a long time, and then in, I don't know, the late 2010s, women had an opportunity to really like flex for a second and be like, no, we're here, we matter, we're valid. Um, but there was a backlash to that.
Hmm.
And then things got more, I don't know, I guess people got angrier, things got more violent, like because I don't think men felt like they had a space anymore, like they were being pushed out. And I read this great book by Bell Hooks called The Will to Change, Men and Masculinity. It's so good. It really changed my understanding of like the other sex. And I had so much more compassion for men than I ever had before because I understood like the deep rootedness of patriarchy. Like that's not anything that anyone can control. And I also feel like, well, and what she was saying in the book is that a lot of women perpetrate that where and then they're not giving a lot of women don't give space to men to be emotional, to be vulnerable. It's hard for
Mm.
men to be vulnerable even with other men. So it's just like, yeah, that's what happens. You internalize all that stuff, you get angry, sometimes you lash out, sometimes people get violent. um and so there's a whole culture shift that needs to happen, and I feel like it needs to be more equal where it's like, no, women, ruling the world doesn't mean anything, really. Like these systems are so bad. So like even if you're on top, it doesn't change the quality of the system. Like if you still got racism and classism and all this stuff,
Yeah.
being the dominant sex won't. Are you going to change any of those things? Because if not, then like doesn't mean anything. So like I feel like things just need to be more equal, and that men feeling like they need to have a place, and that we're not so different. Like I feel like that's a lot of the issue is that we kind of see each other as opponents instead of teammates, and it just feels like we are basically the same, you know?
And that's what I like. I think that's also the big glaring weakness of Lucy's character is
Mm,
as by contrast, she's not a person who expresses how she feels. You
right.
know, um, like like I said at the end of the movie, Harry is the first one to be open, like, yeah, I got the surgery, and she's like, oh, I feel like I don't know you. Like, you ain't talked. The only thing you said to him of value is you make me feel like I'm of value, but that's also tied to what he can provide monetarily. And that's not what he can give you, emotionally, morally. And she equates that as a good thing. But John, on the other hand, she's a person she can talk to if she's stressed out. So I think that would make you think, oh, I value you more. You're able to take time out of your day to, talk to me when I'm stressed out. That's a sign of value. And I think that was also one of the biggest issues she has as a character. She wasn't open to communicate. Like when they both come to her, she's like, "Oh, why do you like me?" Like to Harry, like, "Why do you like me?" He tells her why he likes her. Like, I'm not looking at you 10 years down the road. Like, I want someone I can grow with as I get old. I don't want a 25-year-old person. And then John is like, and then John on the inverse, like, "Oh, I love you. I think about you every day. Every time I see you, I see us being old together." And she cannot like return or express as to why she feels the same way or why she doesn't. And I think that was also like the biggest real flag is like the lack of her ability to communicate, which again comes from the fact that she only witnessed or only experienced her parents arguing. So
Yeah, to me, that's just like you're just deeply insecure. Like
yeah.
that really, that's what it was. And that's what I kept hearing from her
Yeah, and that
the
was the
whole
thing with
time.
me because she mentions being a psychiatrist to these men and or particularly women looking for
Mm,
people, and she's like, "Oh, do you think they tell their psychiatrists that they only want to date black, white guys or whatever?" And I'm like, What are you telling your psychiatrist? Because you realize these women are essentially part and parcel a mirror of her in her
mm,
interactions with them, but and that's a human thing. We can recognize the flaws in others, but we don't
yeah,
recognize the flaws in ourselves.
right.
So, but
That's
yeah.
so true. Yeah,
Uh,
and that to me is more the thing that was missing in this film is that it's so obvious how that Lucy is just completely insecure. Like she doesn't understand that she is already of value. She doesn't understand that she already has things set up in her life that are good. She's just kind of like still searching for something,
yeah,
something to make her feel valued. A person to make her feel valued, the right place, the right guy with the right amount of money. Like, and my thing is like, you really can't be with someone if you don't love yourself.
yeah.
And I know that's so corny. Like, I'm
But it's
sure like
true.
we've heard that a
It's
billion
true
times,
though.
but it's true. Like, it's like,
Yeah,
how do you expect anyone to love you if you cannot love yourself? Like,
yeah.
it's just not gonna work.
Mhm,
Like sweetie, like it's not a guy isn't gonna fix it, whether it was John or whether it was Harry or whether it was someone else. Like no one else is gonna be able to fix that thing for you. Like you
mhm,
have to, because she keeps saying like, "Oh, I know you hate me. I know you hate me. Like I know you don't like me," and it's like, no, these people love you. At
mhm,
least John genuinely loves her. He
mhm.
just feels like he can't give her what she wants,
Yeah,
and what you want is something that he can't provide to you right now, but like he also is providing in other ways. Emotionally, he's giving you stability and a place to kind of dump all your feelings. Like he's like, yeah, you can let's just go somewhere, let's crash someone else's wedding so we have somewhere to be, because he can't stay in my apartment. But like
yeah,
he's like doing all of these things, and I
yeah,
just feel like if she had self-worth, like real self-worth, a lot of these issues would be sort of alleviated. I don't
yeah,
think that these would be big things. And I kind of wish that she had come to a place where she was able to love
yeah.
herself and then
Uh,
get a relationship if you want
yeah.
to get a relationship after that.
And I think that's the biggest discredit to the fact that once again, Celine Song is an amazing writer, and
Yeah.
with these topics is the fact that her lead, well, female actress, her character is just eh,
Hmm.
but the male characters are so much dynamic in the way, like, even though, like, Harry says he doesn't know if he loves her, the fact he was vulnerable to say I had degenerate reaffirming surgery is a sign of love. It's not something you tell people every day. And she, like, once again, she uses that as an out. She goes, "Oh, I didn't know that about you. That means it's because I didn't know that about you. We don't know anything about you. That means I don't love you." Like, no, getting to know a person is part of getting to love a person. Like, and that's the process. He's telling you that I had things. He's revealing an intimate secret about you. That means he is open to you. He loves you in a way, and she takes it as, oh, I don't know anything. That means I don't love you. And he internalizes that as to say, oh, I don't know what love is. When clearly he does. If he's able to, like, admit that. So, and that's my, like, biggest thing with the issue. Like, all the other men, the men particularly showcase multifaceted, dynamic views of unrequited, like growing to love somebody, being open, being vulnerable. Whereas she's just so in her head, which is true, but then she just has like an instant epiphany at the end. And he also, like, and it doesn't make any sense because John at the end goes, "Oh, I think I made a bad financial decision to marry her." You know, so I don't know. Mm,
Well,
mm,
the way that I read that scene was more just like she, I feel like her finding out that he had the surgery because she knows what the scars are from before he tells her that he got the surgery done.
mm,
And I think for me, the way I was reading it was more just like it was just a confirmation of the fact that she actually doesn't love him.
yeah,
Like that's really what it was. It wasn't more like I just need an out to get out of this relationship. I think it was just more like she was already feeling it. Like she already felt like she didn't love
yeah,
this man. Like
the
when she
same
saw the
way.
ring, she freaked out because she was like, "Oh, I don't want to get married to this man." Like,
Mm.
it's like she knew that she loved John. One, because they had all this history and they were still talking. Like to me, that's just set up where it's just
I
like
mean,
it's just a
that's
matter of
that's
time
that's
until
the
they get back
rebound, though.
together. Who Harry?
That's the rebound, though. Her and John.
It's not a rebound. They were together for like 5 years.
Fair, fair, fair.
Yeah, they were together for 5 years. They broke up because he didn't have any money. They stayed in contact all these years, and then through her relationship with Harry, she was like, "Oh, actually, I think I'm probably in love with John, but he doesn't have any money, so what am I gonna do?" And then so like that was like her dilemma, like, and I feel like John kept because he was in love with her. He let her do whatever with him, kind
Hmm.
of play with his heart a little bit, which and I'm glad that he realized that he was kind of being played by her, and he was like, "Nah, I'm not gonna allow that anymore." So I just wish that she had gotten to a point where she had respect for herself and had love for herself first and foremost, and then got back together with John if that's what she wanted to do. Because I feel like what the messaging is going to end up being is that you just got to find the right guy and you'll be fine, which is not
Or you just
that.
gotta tolerate the person.
Yeah, which is like not how I think that should go.
Hmm.
That's just my personal opinion. Maybe Celine Song had a different read on it, but either way, I to wrap it all up, I do like this movie. I like the themes that it explores. I like that this is like a thing that most people can relate to. I just think that like one, the casting is interesting. I don't Dakota Johnson, I kind of wish someone else was in that role. Also, trying to view Chris Evans as like a down on his luck actor living in an apartment with the other, it's like you're Captain America. Like I can't I that's the kind of the bad thing about knowing an actor really well is that like it's kind of hard to place you in other situations because it's like I don't really see you.
I
I,
mean,
I can't I can't buy it. I'm sorry, I can't buy
well,
him.
I guess
And
for me it's different because my viewpoint of Chris Evans was before all the Captain America, before the Marvel stuff. Like, this was indie, like, rom-com stuff was his wheelhouse. That's where I know him from.
yeah,
So he fit
before.
that this genre. This is a genre he's really well at. Like, Dakota Johnson is very much giving what did not Patti LaBelle, wow, that's horrible. Aretha Franklin, what you said about Taylor Swift, beautiful gowns. For you, it'd be beautiful pantsuits.
Beautiful
Um,
pantsuits.
Beautiful pantsuits, well-tailored pantsuits. Like she gives me nothing. She's like
Yeah,
watching paint dry,
yeah.
as far as her acting is. And then she's surrounded by Pedro Pascal and Chris Evans, which
I know.
like
It makes it worse. It makes it more evident.
so. But
And
yeah,
I agree. Like I remember watching Chris Evans back in the day before he was Captain America. It's just that like now that you are Captain America, like that has been something that you've been doing for years
yeah,
now.
yeah,
It's hard for me to see.
which
It's
is
hard for me
fair.
to believe you as a person who is like a struggling actor in New York City. Like that
Yeah,
is just like you're Chris Evans.
yeah.
Like come on.
Pedro is
So
different because Pedro's kind of been doing everything for like the
Pedro,
past.
it's like, oh, you're a rich, amazing man. Yes, I want that to be true. And I know that that is true. Like Pedro honestly is maybe my favorite actor, not even because I think he's like the most talented necessarily. I think he's extremely talented, but like just because of who he is as a human being, I'm like I'm obsessed with you. I'm actually obsessed with you. You might be the most amazing man that's ever lived on this planet. Like,
Pedro was essentially playing himself in this movie, being
yeah,
charming and
charming,
suave.
wonderful, just
Yeah.
lush. That's
Yeah.
the word that I'm going to use with him.
Lush,
Lush. He's a
lush,
lush man.
lush man.
Um, but yeah, I thought this movie was really interesting and like a good like conversation starter, a good thing to kind of like reflect on.
Yeah,
But when I think about the fact that Celine made past lives and how beautiful that movie was, I don't know. It's weird that this movie is coming kind of in the legacy of past lives because it's just like
yeah,
they're not even on the same. The music was good. I thought the writing was good, kind of. It was a little bit stilted in some places. Could have trimmed the fat in some of the dialogue, some places as well. Um, but so yeah, it just wasn't on the same level. Is
hmm
it like not a significant downgrade, but a bit of a downgrade.
yeah,
So, but I still thought it was good. I thought it was good.
yeah. So I'd still give it a watch. Just for it being a conversation starter. It's a good movie for that.
Yeah.
Um, did you like that clip? Well, you can listen to the entire podcast because the 16 millimeter Film Crew podcast is available on all major podcast platforms.